As I said earlier, the new Victorian Premier Jacinta Allan, right off the bat, says what she really wants is to fight for equality of outcomes. We must all be equal. And she's utterly determined to negotiate a treaty as a priority, a treaty with people identifying as Aborigines. Well, joining me as a panel, Michael Costa, former New South Wales Labor Treasurer, and David Gazard, former Liberal Advisor and now Head of DPG Advisory Solutions. Michael Costa, I mean, Daniel Andrews might be gone, but the socialist left remains firmly in charge of Victoria.
Oh, there's no question about that. I was stunned when I saw that press conference or the highlights of it, and when she listed her priorities, I was bewildered that somebody's taking a job on in a state that has massive spending problems. You know what's happened down here. You've got a premier that had a sort of compulsive spending disorder. He got the public credit card and he ran up all this debt, and he's handed it over to the next person with compulsive spending disorder, and off they go. I mean, no mention of the debt in the press conference. In fact, a ridiculous comment about the great economic management of the state. I mean, it's like Alice in Wonderland state down there. I mean, I cannot understand it. In terms of the treaty, I mean, if they think that that's the priority, they're living in cloud cuckoo land, mate. It's bad enough that they subscribe to magic pudding economics. Now they're in sort of the magic kingdom totally if they think that's the priority that Australians have, particularly when you've got inflation where it is. And I noted all the commentators are giving big political A's to Dan Andrews. Well, they should get some of the economic commentators out there and economic historians are giving him the D that he deserves for the state that he's left that economy in. It's an absolute disgrace, and you've got to have no confidence that the new Premier is going to do anything about it.
It's weird, isn't it? David, you would have prepped a lot of politicians and business leaders about how to deal with, maybe a first introductory press conference, that kind of thing. You'd think you have your lines pretty off pat. I would assume that she actually genuinely means this, and she said it because she thought the voters would say, right on.
Well, it comes down ultimately, Andrew, and you're quite right, it comes down to priorities. And I would have thought that it's fairly obvious what the priorities are. Blind Freddie can see that. We've got a cost of living crisis. The state is veering deeper and deeper into debt. There's a number of things that constituents will be telling her, and she comes out, instead of kind of recalibrating and resetting the economic agenda, she comes out with a list of social issues. So it's not going to take long for her to get reprioritised because the voters will have a say, and the first poll will come out on and it'll probably be a very poor reflection on that press conference and the direction she's setting for the state.
You've got a lot more confidence than me.
I think you make a good point there, how long it'll be before reality sets in, because, Michael, you've already referred to it, the debt. I mean, even if you just take the budget, what the government says the debt's going to be, they reckon 171 billion by 2027. We've got analysts, ratings analysts who say, no, actually it could be north of 220 billion or whatever. I mean, much, much more. But even if you take the government's word, that debt by then will be bigger than New South Wales, Queensland and Tasmania's debt combined. Now, with a debt that big, Michael, how long before Victoria becomes a problem, not just for Victorians, but for the whole country?
Well, it will be a problem for the whole country, largely because it will be a laggard in terms of economic growth. Apart from anything else, some of the tax measures and spending measures that these people are undertaking is actually, undercutting any attempt to get national productivity out. I mean, we saw that with that ridiculous, tax on the housing there that they put up for short-term stays. I mean, all of these things are anti-competitive, and they will be a drag on the economy. And the problem for Victorians is that it's the debt is the problem, but it's the interest payment on that debt is the real problem, because that is what's going to ensure that spending on other services that governments are required to spend on can't be maintained. You can't keep running this sort of compulsive spending. And these people have got no idea. They've got no idea. They don't even mention the fact that they've got an economic problem. They think they've got a state that is running economically well. You heard that today at the press conference. It's just delusional.
Delusional, absolutely. Listen, we've just got some exclusive footage dropping in our newsroom. A group of protesters have descended on a no event with Jacinta Price that's being held in Brisbane. We saw this in Adelaide and now in Brisbane. I mean, it's really seriously, what do these people think they're doing? I've got no idea. How they think that's going to influence anyone at all, I do not know. David, what do you make of these yes campaigners, like the ones in Adelaide that were screaming, you know, racist and whatever at people going through, harassing people, and now this?
Well, you can only look at what's happening with support for the Yes campaign and see it in freefall. And I think most Australians, quiet Australians in particular, who'd sit back and watch and they don't take part in activist campaigns on either side, would look and be horrified, particularly when they see these people sort of, you know, then turning around and saying, well, we've got bigger hearts than you. I mean, it's incongruous, right? So, you know, yeah, they're better than everybody.
So true, David.
And I'll tell you why. You know, meanwhile, they're.
But haven't they learned? I don't get it. So. Haven't they learned? Or haven't they learned from this whole campaign that's saying things like no pride in genocide, like that's Australia, right? So no pride in their own country, and that you're racist if you vote no. This abuse of their country and this abuse, like calling people racist for being no, that has been, Michael, the exact kind of thing that has driven so many people to vote no. Even if they don't know what the voice is, they hate these kinds of sanctimonious bullies.
Well, you know, calling anybody a racist because they have a different opinion on an administrative structure is just absurd. And this is what they don't understand. Not only do people not understand what the voice is all about, and not only can the voice proponents not explain what it's all about, which is more important, then you get this sort of overlay of racism and abuse. And clearly people are going to show what they think of this come referendum day. You know, this sort of ratbag crowd that's there, they've probably got another agenda, and you can see that they've got other issues also that they're purporting to support. And clearly this shows that there's a fringe out there that's completely nuts and can't have a rational debate about anything. And this is reflected in the poll.
But they don't want a rational debate, Michael.
That's correct.
No, it's a virtue thing. You know, theirs is bigger than yours, you know. Just quickly, Michael, just stick with you for a sec. I'm out of time, but I just want 30 seconds from you. Inflation figures up again to 5.2% for the past month, mostly because of a big jump in petrol prices. Does this mean interest rates going up again in, say, I don't know, a couple of months?
Look, it could, Andrew. I expected them to be one additional rate rise in the current round. I think what you're more likely to see with the new Reserve Bank governor is them hold off any cuts into the future and probably have the same effect, given that they only have one additional rate rise that they'd be looking at.
Okay, good on you. David Gazard, Michael Costa, thank you very much to you both.